Hi everyone. I need advice about my marriage situation that's been tearing me apart. My name is Becca and I've been married to my husband Ronald for 5 years. We have a beautiful daughter Emma, 3F, together. When we first met, it was like a fairy tale. Ronald was the most attentive boyfriend I'd ever had. He would surprise me with little gifts, remember all our important dates, and always made time for me no matter how busy work got. Our wedding was perfect. He cried when I walked down the aisle, and his speech made everyone tear up. The first 3 years of our marriage were amazing. Ronald was the kind of husband who would cook dinner when I was tired, give me foot rubs after long days at work, and always made sure to plan special date nights. When I got pregnant with Emma, he went to every single doctor's appointment and even learned how to braid hair because he said he wanted to be ready when our daughter grew up. Everything changed when Ronald's brother Eric died in a car accident 2 years ago. Eric was driving home from work when a drunk driver hit him. Ronald was devastated. They were only 2 years apart and had always been extremely close. They talked every day and had weekly brother nights where they would watch sports or play video games. Eric was also the best uncle to Emma, always bringing her little presents and making her laugh. Eric's wife Lisa was completely broken after his death. She'd moved to our city for Eric and had no family here. She was living in their rented apartment and couldn't afford it on her own. Ronald suggested she move in with us temporarily until she got back on her feet. I agreed because I genuinely felt bad for her. She'd lost her husband, her home, and was alone in a city where her only connections were through Eric. My in-laws John, 65M, and Mary, 62F, praised Ronald for being such a caring brother-in-law and said this is exactly what Eric would have wanted. The first few months were fine. Lisa was quiet but helped around the house. She was good with Emma and would often watch her when I needed to run errands. She and Ronald would sometimes talk about Eric, sharing memories and grieving together. I thought this was healthy and never questioned it. Things started changing about 6 months ago. I began noticing small things at first. Ronald would rush through dinner with me and Emma to go sit with Lisa in the living room. They would talk for hours, long after I'd gone to bed. When I'd wake up around midnight to check on Emma, I'd still hear them laughing and talking downstairs. They started going running together every morning at 6 a.m. Ronald had always said he hated morning workouts when I asked him to join me at the gym before work. But suddenly he was eager to wake up early for runs with Lisa. When I asked to join them once, they both got weird about it, saying it was their time to talk about Eric. Ronald began coming home early from work to help Lisa with random things. She needed help organizing Eric's old things, she wanted advice on her resume, she needed someone to look at her car. But when I needed help with Emma or asked him to pick up groceries, he was always too tired or too busy with work. The changes in Ronald's behavior became more obvious. He started hiding his phone, which he'd never done before. He would turn it face down whenever I walked into the room or quickly close his messaging apps. Once, I saw Lisa's name flash on his screen with a heart emoji next to it, but when I asked about it, he said Emma must have been playing with his phone and added it. My in-law's behavior made everything worse. Mary started inviting Lisa to all family functions but would conveniently forget to tell me the details. I found out about a family birthday party through Facebook photos where Lisa was front and center with Ronald and Emma. When I asked Mary why I wasn't told, she said she thought Ronald would tell me. John started making comments about how nice it was to see Ronald happy again, always when Lisa was around. He would reminisce about how Ronald and Lisa had always gotten along so well, even before she started dating Eric. Mary would join in, talking about how Lisa just fit so naturally into the family. Last month, we had a Sunday dinner at our house. I was in the kitchen getting dessert ready when I overheard Mary talking to Lisa. She said Lisa was the daughter she never had and that she was so grateful Lisa had stayed close to the family after Eric's death. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. She told Lisa that sometimes things happen for a reason and that Eric would want both her and Ronald to be happy. The final straw came last week. Emma had a high fever of 103 degrees Fahrenheit and was crying inconsolably. I called Ronald at work, begging him to come home early to help me take her to the doctor. Our regular pediatrician was booked, and I needed him there to help me figure out which urgent care to take her to. He said he couldn't leave work because of an important client meeting. I managed to get Emma to urgent care on my own, struggling to carry her diaper bag, and find parking while she was burning up with fever. That evening, while scrolling through Instagram trying to distract myself after finally getting Emma to sleep, I saw that Lisa had posted stories from earlier that day. There was Ronald, sitting across from her at their favorite cafe during his supposed important meeting time. They were sharing a piece of cake, and in one clip, he was reaching across to wipe frosting off her cheek. When I confronted Ronald that night, he got defensive immediately. He said Lisa was having a really hard day because it was Eric's birthday, and she needed support. When I asked why he lied about the meeting, he turned it around on me. He said he lied because I'm too sensitive and jealous, and I never understand that Lisa needs him. He actually said I was being selfish for making him choose between helping his dead brother's wife and taking his daughter to the doctor. I called Mary crying, hoping my mother-in-law would finally see how much this situation was hurting me. Instead, she made everything worse. She said I needed to be more understanding because Lisa lost her soulmate. She suggested that maybe if I was more supportive of Ronald and Lisa's special bond, Ronald wouldn't need to lie to me. Then she had the nerve to say that Lisa has been an amazing addition to our family and that Emma clearly adores her. I found out yesterday that Ronald has been helping Lisa look for permanent jobs here. She had originally said she would move back to her hometown after getting back on her feet, but now they're looking at houses in our neighborhood. When I reminded Ronald about Lisa's plans to move back home, he said plans change and that Lisa is family now, she belongs here with us. I feel like I'm trapped in some twisted situation where my husband is having an emotional affair with his dead brother's wife, and his family is encouraging it. Every time I try to talk to Ronald about how their relationship makes me uncomfortable, he says I'm disrespecting Eric's memory by trying to push Lisa away. Am I crazy for feeling this way? Should I be more understanding about their relationship? How do I compete with my husband's dead brother's wife whom my in-laws treat like a saint? Please help me figure out what to do. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments and messages. Many of you suggested I dig deeper into Ronald and Lisa's relationship, and you were right, there was so much more going on than I knew. I've spent the last 2 weeks uncovering the truth, and honestly, I wish I could go back to being naive about it all. After reading your comments about checking the phone records, I logged into our mobile carrier account. Ronald had always handled the phone bills, but I knew the login information because I'd needed it once to upgrade my phone. What I found made me physically sick. For the past 6 months, Ronald and Lisa have been texting each other hundreds of times every day. I'm not exaggerating, there were days with over 500 messages between them. The timing of these messages was even more disturbing. There were long text conversations happening between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. almost every night, exactly when Ronald would tell me he was staying up late to catch up on work emails. There were also clusters of messages during times when Ronald told me he was in meetings or too busy to talk. One particularly painful discovery was seeing dozens of messages exchanged during Emma's dance recital last month, a recital Ronald said he couldn't attend because of an important work presentation. But the phone records were just the beginning. I also discovered they'd been meeting for lunch almost every single day. Remember how Ronald always said he was too busy for lunch dates with me because he was trying to save his lunch break for catching up on work? Well, I found months of credit card statements showing he's been spending $40 to $50 at cafes and restaurants every day, always for 2 people, always at places near Lisa's new job. The worst discovery came from Ronald's laptop. He had left it open one morning while taking a shower. I've never been the type to snoop, but something in me just snapped. His email was logged in, and right there in his inbox was an email from Lisa with the subject line "Missing You." I opened it and found dozens of email threads between them going back months. They weren't explicitly saying "I love you" or planning to run away together, but the emotional intimacy in these emails was devastating. Ronald would write things like, "Today was so hard. Sitting in meetings, all I could think about was our conversation from last night. You're the only one who really gets me. I keep thinking about what you said about fate and second chances. Sometimes I wonder if everything happens for a reason. Being with you makes me feel alive again. I haven't felt this way in so long." Lisa's responses were just as inappropriate. "I feel so guilty sometimes, but then I remember how Eric always said you were his best friend and the most caring person he knew. He would want us to support each other. I wish we could spend more time together without having to worry about what others think. You make everything better. Sometimes I look at you with Emma and my heart just melts. You're such an amazing father. I love watching you with her." But the most shocking discovery was hidden in Ronald's archived emails. He and Lisa have been planning weekend trips together, disguising them as visits to Eric's grave in another city. I found hotel reservations at romantic bed and breakfasts, dinner reservations at intimate restaurants, and even spa day bookings for couples massages. All while I was at home with Emma, thinking Ronald was paying his respects to his brother. When I confronted Ronald with all this evidence, his reaction was almost worse than the betrayal itself. He broke down crying, not because he was sorry for hurting me, but because he said he was torn between his loyalty to Eric and his feelings for Lisa. He admitted to having strong feelings for her but swore nothing physical had happened yet, as if the yet wasn't a knife to my heart. Then he had the audacity to suggest marriage counseling. He said we could work through this if I was just willing to be more understanding of his and Lisa's special bond. He actually said, Eric would want all of us to be happy, and right now, this situation is making everyone miserable. As if my pain at discovering my husband's emotional affair was the real problem here. I called Mary, thinking surely now she would see how inappropriate this all was. Her response left me speechless. She suggested that maybe this was fate's way of keeping Eric's memory alive through Ronald and Lisa's connection. She said sometimes love works in mysterious ways and that if I truly loved Ronald, I should consider stepping aside for everyone's happiness. My own mother-in-law basically told me to accept my husband falling in love with his dead brother's wife. When I told John about everything I'd found, he accused me of invading Ronald's privacy and trying to create drama in the family. He said Ronald and Lisa's relationship was pure and born from shared grief, and that I was trying to make something beautiful into something ugly. He actually suggested I should be grateful that Lisa was helping Ronald become a better man. I couldn't stay in that house another night. I packed some essentials for Emma and me and went to my sister's place. Ronald has been calling and texting constantly, alternating between apologizing and making me feel guilty. One message he'll say he's sorry for hurting me, the next he'll accuse me of abandoning our family and traumatizing Emma by taking her away from her home. Lisa had the nerve to send me a long message about how she never meant for any of this to happen. She said she still considers me family and hopes we can all find a way to coexist peacefully. She even suggested we meet for coffee to talk about how to make this situation work for everyone. The delusion is astounding. My in-laws are now telling everyone who will listen that I'm breaking up the family because of my insecurities. They're painting Lisa as this poor grieving widow who found a beautiful connection with her late husband's brother, and me as the jealous wife who's too selfish to let them heal together. I've contacted a divorce lawyer to discuss my options. I don't see how I can stay in this marriage when my husband has basically admitted to falling in love with his sister-in-law and his entire family thinks I should step aside and let it happen. The lawyer advised me to gather all the evidence I found and document everything. She said Ronald's behavior and his family's support of it will be important for the custody arrangements. Right now, I'm just trying to keep it together for Emma. She keeps asking when we're going home and why Daddy and Aunt Lisa aren't here. How do you explain something like this to a 3-year-old? The next steps are terrifying, but I know I can't go back to that house and pretend everything is normal while my husband falls in love with someone else right in front of me. Update 2. I want to thank everyone for their support on my last update. Things have gotten so much worse, and I'm still trying to process everything I've discovered. Just when I thought I knew the full extent of Ronald and Lisa's betrayal, more secrets came to light. My lawyer helped me get access to Ronald's complete financial records as part of the divorce proceedings. What we found was absolutely shocking. Ronald had opened a separate bank account 6 months ago that I knew nothing about. He had been transferring money from our joint savings, money we were supposedly saving for Emma's college fund, into the secret account. The spending from this account was outrageous. In just 6 months, Ronald spent over $15,000 on Lisa. There were charges for expensive jewelry, including a $3,000 necklace bought the day before my birthday. I got a $50 gift card to Target. He paid for weekly spa treatments, shopping sprees at high-end stores, and even a weekend trip to a luxury resort that cost more than our family vacation last year. But it gets worse. Ronald had been paying Lisa's credit card bills, not just helping her out occasionally, but paying them in full every month. When my lawyer questioned this, we discovered that Lisa had actually quit her job 3 months ago. Ronald had been secretly supporting her completely, using our family's money. No wonder he kept telling me we needed to cut back on Emma's activities and saying we couldn't afford to send her to the better preschool I wanted. The most devastating revelation came from Emma's daycare teacher, Ms. Johnson. She pulled me aside during pickup and seemed really uncomfortable. She told me she had been meaning to talk to me about something strange that had been happening. Apparently, Lisa had been picking up Emma regularly, at least twice a week. This was news to me. I thought Emma was with Ronald during those times. But here's the truly horrifying part. Lisa had been telling the daycare staff that she was Emma's mother. When they questioned this because they knew me, Ronald had actually gone to the daycare and updated Emma's emergency contact forms. He removed my information entirely and listed Lisa as Emma's mother. Ms. Johnson showed me the forms. He had even used Lisa's maiden name to make it less obvious what he'd done. Ms. Johnson also mentioned that Lisa would bring Emma special treats and tell her stories about how they were going to live together soon and be a real family. She had been slowly manipulating my daughter, preparing her for some sort of transition I knew nothing about. I was still reeling from these discoveries when my realtor friend called me. She had seen Ronald and Lisa at an open house in her neighborhood and thought I should know. When I pressed for more information, she revealed they had already put a $20,000 deposit down on a 4-bedroom house across town. The deposit came from our joint savings account, money we had been saving for years. I confronted Ronald about everything, and his response was unbelievable. Instead of denying it or apologizing, he finally admitted that he and Lisa had been planning their future together for months. He said they were going to tell me after Lisa moved out, claiming they were trying to spare my feelings by waiting. He actually tried to justify removing me as Emma's emergency contact by saying Lisa needed to be able to pick her up for their family bonding time. Then came the most painful revelation of all. I discovered that my in-laws hadn't just been supporting Ronald and Lisa's relationship, they had been actively helping them plan their new life together. Mary had gone house hunting with them multiple times, helping them choose their perfect family home while still telling me I was overreacting to their relationship. John had been advising Ronald on how to move money around without me noticing, and had even helped set up the secret bank account. I found emails between Mary and Lisa discussing furniture for the new house and planning Emma's new bedroom. They were picking out decorations and discussing how to make the transition easier for Emma, all while I was still trying to save my marriage. There were even messages about Lisa wanting to legally change her last name to match Ronald's, with Mary enthusiastically supporting the idea. I filed for divorce and am seeking full custody of Emma. Ronald is trying to paint me as an unstable mother, using the fact that I took Emma to my sister's house as evidence that I'm unpredictable and prone to rash decisions. Lisa has started telling people that she'll be a better mother to Emma because she's more emotionally stable and can provide a complete family unit. My lawyer says Ronald's deception about the emergency contacts and his financial infidelity will work in my favor for the custody battle. She's particularly concerned about how they've been manipulating Emma and preparing her for a new family dynamic without my knowledge or consent. I'm documenting everything now, every text, every email, every bank statement. I've started recording all my interactions with Ronald and Lisa because they keep trying to twist my words and make me seem irrational. I never thought I'd be in this position, fighting to keep my own daughter from being turned against me by my husband and his dead brother's wife. Update 3. Hi everyone. First, thank you all for your incredible support throughout this nightmare. I wanted to give you a final update on everything that's happened. The divorce is moving forward, and things are looking positive for me legally. My lawyer says we have a strong case for full custody given all the evidence of Ronald's deception and manipulation. The judge was particularly concerned about Ronald removing me as Emma's emergency contact and allowing Lisa to impersonate me at the daycare. We also found more evidence that Ronald and Lisa had been planning this for almost a year, including emails where they discussed their future together while I was still trying to fix our marriage. Ronald and Lisa moved into their new house last month, the one they bought with our savings. They're playing happy families now, posting pictures all over social media about their new beginning and second chances at love. Lisa even had the nerve to write a long Facebook post about how sometimes life gives you unexpected gifts and how grateful she is for her new family. She actually used the hashtag blessed. The custody battle has gotten ugly. Ronald is pushing for 50-50 custody, claiming Emma needs both parents and a mother figure in her life. Yes, he actually suggested Lisa could be Emma's mother figure, completely ignoring the fact that I am her mother. They've even started having Emma call Lisa Mommy Lisa during visitation time, which my lawyer says is a form of parental alienation. My in-laws have gotten worse, if that's possible. They're fully supporting Ronald and Lisa's new relationship, telling everyone it's a beautiful story of finding love after tragedy. Mary hosts weekly family dinners at their house during Ronald's visitation time with Emma, making sure Lisa is treated like the new matriarch of the family. She's even started referring to Lisa as her daughter in social media posts, completely erasing my existence. John recently sent me a lengthy email suggesting that for Emma's sake, I should accept this new family dynamic. He said that children adapt better when both parents can be civil, and that I should consider allowing Lisa to be part of Emma's life as a second mother. He actually wrote that having more people to love Emma could only be a good thing. I didn't respond. The most painful part has been watching how this affects Emma. She's confused and acting out. During her last visitation with Ronald, she came home calling me by my first name because that's what Lisa does. When I asked her about it, she said Mommy Lisa says that's what I should call you now. I broke down crying after putting her to bed that night. I've been documenting everything, every inappropriate comment, every attempt to alienate Emma from me, every boundary they cross. My lawyer says this will all help our case. We've also filed for a modification to the temporary custody agreement requiring them to stop having Emma call Lisa any variation of mom and to stop speaking negatively about me during visitation time. I've gone completely no contact with my in-laws except through my lawyer. They still try to reach out, usually to criticize my decisions or pressure me to accept the situation. Last week, Mary sent me a Christmas card with a family photo of Ronald, Lisa, and Emma, with a note saying it's time to let go of your bitterness and accept that this is Emma's family too. The card went straight into my evidence file. Ronald and Lisa are now talking about getting married as soon as my divorce is final. They've already started planning their wedding, and Mary is helping them. They want Emma to be their flower girl. My lawyer says I can refuse to allow Emma to participate since the wedding would take place during my custody time, and I plan to do exactly that. I've started seeing a family therapist with Emma to help her process everything. She's struggling with all the changes and confusion, but the therapist says she's resilient, and will get through this with proper support. Some days are harder than others, like when she comes home from Ronald's house talking about all the fun things Mommy Lisa does with her. But I remain calm and consistent, always reminding her that I'm her mom and I love her. To everyone who asked if I regret my decision to leave, absolutely not. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts watching my husband play happy families with his dead brother's wife. Yes, it's painful seeing my in-laws embrace the woman who helped destroy my marriage. But staying would have been worse. I refuse to teach my daughter that it's okay to accept betrayal and disrespect in the name of keeping the peace. For those in similar situations wondering what to do, trust your gut and keep all the evidence. Don't let anyone gaslight you into accepting the unacceptable, even if they're family. And remember that doing what's right for you and your children doesn't make you the bad guy, no matter how others try to paint you.